As I was finishing up with graduate school, I started to work at a part-time job. As an international student, I was only allowed to work for a year on a work permit. I knew I wanted to stay here, so I asked my job if they would consider sponsoring me on a work visa. I also approached an attorney at the time to help me figure out the details of this process. A couple months had already passed and my boss had decided to not move forward with my paperwork. The attorney also expressed that my case wasn't strong enough to be approved. I even consulted other attorneys who basically said there was no hope for my case. I even explored through other options that could possibly work. But it all came to a dead end. I came home one night feeling like there was nothing more I could do to make things work. Time was running out, so I turned to God for help and asked Him to intervene in my life. I remember sharing with my pastor what I was going through at the time, and she shared with me that of course we would want for it to happen tomorrow, but it was about God's timing. I took to heart this encouragement as it helped me to keep looking to God for what He had planned for my life. I always thought it was about God providing for what I needed at the time, but He was actually inviting me to know Him as the God who holds my times in His hands. And the cry of my heart was that I trust in You, Lord, because You are my God. In the meantime, I continued to look for other jobs and even applied to go back to school, and remembered God spoke to me from His Word where He says, with people this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And as I continued to wait, something changed in the times I spent with God. I was not sad anymore. All of a sudden, this need that seemed so big had become so small in comparison to how God was revealing the greatness of His love to me. A month before the work permit expired, my job miraculously reconsidered their decision and changed their mind to sponsor me. My attorney began the paperwork at once, and it came down to the last week when literally each day mattered. Right before my attorney mailed all the documents, my job decided to pay the extra amount to expedite the process, so it would take 2 weeks instead of 4 to 5 months. I even received a year-end bonus that was just enough financially for the next 2 weeks while I was waiting to hear back. A week had passed. I received a phone call from my attorney that he couldn't believe that it got approved. I was not surprised at all, but just felt affirmed that it is true when God says He will not put to shame those who trust in Him. Now I know even more that not only is God in control of all of time, but in His sovereignty, He provides for us so much more than what we can ask or imagine.